welcome to New York. Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for another video this week. If you are new here, my name is Carrie. I live in New York City and I make videos about style, home decor, and life in New York City. Building off of last week's video, I did a little closet purge, declutter, clean out, whatever you want to call it. And to follow up on that, as promised, this week's video is going to be all about how to sell or just in general get rid of your clothes. Now, getting rid of my clothes, selling them, whatever, is something I have been doing for years, and it is always a way that I could just make a few quick dollars or get some of my money back and be able to put it towards new clothes. Over the years, I have learned a lot about not only selling clothes, where to sell them, how to sell them, but also just kind of what is worth selling, what's not worth selling. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. I do just want to put it out there and say that the amount of money that you are able to make is definitely relative to kind of the brands of things that you have and the amounts that you have and those factors. I definitely do realize that this is a little bit subjective, which is why I'm not trying to frame this video as a how I made X amount of dollars selling my clothes, because I don't really think that's fair and it's not really realistic for everyone, and I want to make this as kind of objective as possible. If I can, that's hard to do, but we're gonna try. Just for a little preview, the way I'm gonna be breaking this video down is into 1, what you should sell or donate, 2, where you should sell, 3, how should you price things, 4, how do you create a listing on these different sites, and 5, a few tips on just shipping things out and then getting paid once you do make some sales. All right, let's get into it. Just remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you are not already. I post new videos every Friday, and let's go. First things first, what should you sell? What is sellable? What is better off to just donate? This is, of course, going to depend on a lot of different factors. What you have, what you're working with in terms of the items you want to get rid of, how much time you have, how much space you have, if you're able to hold on to things for a little bit longer, or if you just really want to get them out the door. I briefly talked about this in the intro, but the items you're selling also don't have to be expensive. Yes, the original price of the item will definitely offset and change the amount of money you're able to get back in the end when you sell it, but that doesn't mean it's not unsellable. Obviously, the difference between selling something from Forever 21 versus Chanel is going to be a major price difference, though you can still sell both of those things. But even the difference between selling something from Shein or Zaful versus a Zara or a Mango, a J. Crew, can be very different, just because the price points even in those categories do start a little bit differently. And in general, just the quality is also going to be a little bit different. But no matter where your item is from, there are tons of different things you can sell. Pretty much you can sell anything in the clothes, shoes, accessories realm. How relevant, trendy, in demand is the item you're trying to sell? This can go both ways, because there are obviously items that are always going to be super timeless, always in demand. They don't go in and out of style. But in terms of the ease of selling something, definitely what's current, what's now, what's trendy, what you are seeing on Instagram, the things you want to wear, even though you don't want to wear them because you're selling them, it's complicated. That's subjective too, because obviously not everyone's taste is the same. I feel like this is just a big disclaimer for the entire video that this is all subjective. There are so many factors that go into this. Just work with me here. You're also going to want to take into account seasonality, because depending on where and how you're choosing to sell an item, a lot of places will go off the season. If summer's approaching and you're trying to sell something for winter, it might be a little bit more difficult to sell it than if you were heading from winter into fall, when it kind of seems like a natural progression in time. And the last thing to consider when you're deciding what to sell is the quality. Is it perfect? Does it have tags on it? Or is it in really bad condition? Is it your pair of sneakers that you've had forever, like a pair of Adidas or something? Yes, those probably would sell in a normal day if they were in good or decent whatever shape, but if they're super beat up, then no one's gonna buy them. So at that point, you probably have to just let them go and donate them. Things don't always have to be in perfect condition though. Some people do want to buy fixer-uppers, some people don't mind that, especially with like the thrift flip makeover thing that a lot of people are doing right now, and it's super cool and a really good way to be sustainable and recycle clothes. It just means that you're gonna have to choose where you sell it wisely, and it's also gonna mean that you have to be really honest about the condition that it's in. You might have guessed where I'm going with this, but if the items that you're trying to get rid of don't meet that criteria, any of the things that I just described, and you're just not really feeling optimistic about your ability to sell them, then that's where I would donate something. It also just really depends on you and what your kind of goal is. You know, a lot of people will just flat out donate all of their clothes and not try to sell any of them. That's obviously great. It's a really good cause to be able to donate your clothes and give them to people who don't have access to clothes, who can't afford them, or who need to buy clothes at a discounted rate from thrift stores. But I would say if you have any type of like hesitation that things are going to be difficult to sell, that's when you want to throw them in your donate pile. Okay, the rest of this video is going to be all about selling, if that's the route you're choosing to go, or with the pieces that you're choosing to go that route for. Let's move on to section 2. where should you sell your stuff? I'm gonna break this up into categories. The first one is selling online. The first thing you can do is list your clothes on an app that is specifically made for selling clothes and accessories, items like that. When I say clothes, it's kind of all encompassing. The first one, which I feel like is having a huge moment right now, and just in general, especially with the kids and the Gen Zers, which I technically am, is Depop. You can put anything on there, obviously, but I would say the stuff that is going to do the best is items that are catered to like that younger teen, young woman. Why didn't I just say young woman? Is there another word for that? Young adult? And also that is very like trendy. The other thing that does really well on Depop is thrifted stuff. The thing with Depop too is that it's definitely like the cutest of the apps. In that category, the other major one, probably its biggest competitor, is Poshmark. That is probably one you might be familiar with if you know anything about selling clothes online. The biggest difference between the two, I would say, is that the Poshmark like audience demographic is a little bit different, a little bit older, but I feel like stuff that I've seen do really well on there is like Tory Burch and J. Crew. Victoria's Secret Pink does really well on there too. Vineyard Vines, Lululemon. You can just explore the two and see which one you prefer. After that, in terms of online selling, we have eBay. The thing with eBay that differs from selling on one of those apps is that eBay is all encompassing. You can sell anything on there, which I think can also make people write it off. But I've had a lot of success selling stuff on eBay, and I've also bought some clothes on eBay. What can do well on eBay and not in terms of clothes is definitely a toss-up. When I go on eBay to look for something, it's definitely more of like a specific item or like a harder to find item. And in terms of like online or just not in person, the last place is mail-ins. The biggest one in that category is probably ThredUp. I've never personally used the service myself. I'm almost positive ThredUp, when they don't take your stuff, instead of donating it, I'm pretty sure that they recycle the material. The other mail-in option that I know of is Crossroads. Crossroads is also a physical resale shop that at least I know they have in New York and Chicago, which is where I'm from. They also have a sell by mail program, which I discovered recently. Also, this is not sponsored. I just like this program, but if you guys want to sponsor me, I'm here. Basically, you can just go on their website and request a bag, and they will send you a little package that looks like this. And then with that, they give you a bag that is a pretty decent size, and it is all like pre-labeled and whatever, and you just fill it up and send it in. Instead of recycling your clothes, they do donate anything that they don't take. I personally just go with Crossroads because I know them and have sold to them in person many times, and I'm just familiar with the brand. I also like the Crossroads sell by mail option because I'll send in things that it's like, I don't know if you're gonna take it or not, but I at least know that it's going to be donated after that if you don't take it. And so it's kind of just like a win-win. Second category here is places that you can visit in real life, and they will buy your clothes in most cases on the spot. Places like this include Buffalo Exchange, Crossroads, Plato's Closet. In New York, they also have something called Beacon's Closet. All of these places are looking for things that are on trend, are going to be sellable and in demand, and that people are going to buy. Because they're buying your clothing outright, they definitely want to be able to sell it, which is why they also will turn down a lot of items. So don't be discouraged or upset if you bring in a whole bag and they only take like 2 to 5 pieces. The one thing with places like Crossroads and Buffalo Exchange is that you might not get back a ton of money on your pieces. A, they already priced them obviously lower than you paid for them, and then B, they only give you a certain cut of that. You have the option to either take trade money, which is money that you can spend back at the store. Usually that's around 50%. And then if you just want to take the cash right then and there, it's more like 30%. Over the years, I've gotten pretty savvy about pre-curating my stuff, and so I will always choose different methods to sell it in and get rid of it in. Basically for me, if it's something that I think I can get a decent amount of money on myself, or was worth a little bit more money in the beginning, then I usually will probably try to sell it myself in various different ways. But if it's something that I think I can get some money on, but I'm not really too hung up on how much money I'm gonna get back, then I will choose a place like Crossroads. And finally, I'm just gonna run through this part kind of quickly. There are a few different places if you have luxury, designer, anything like that, items that you want to sell. Everything from Fashion File to The Real Real to Vestaire, I think that's how you pronounce it, Collective, Yogi's Closet, to Tradesy, to this place called Luxury Garage Sale, which is local in Chicago, but I do also know that they have expanded significantly and you can sell through them. One thing in this entire category that I just want to mention that you should keep in mind is that all of these places, in whatever way, are going to take a cut. And this is just what happens anytime if you are using a third party to sell your items. The only way that you can pocket 100% of the profits if you are trying to sell your clothes is if you do something like a Facebook marketplace, if you do a sale on your Instagram stories. So you've decided you want to sell something. on one of these apps or on eBay or something, how do you price it? That is section 3. The biggest thing here really, and this is something that I have majorly learned over the years, is that doing your research is really just the key thing. Obviously, the easiest thing to do on any of these apps or sites is to just go on, search the item or something very similar if you can't find the exact item, and see what it is selling for and selling at. In general, or if you are selling on eBay specifically, one thing that I have learned, which has helped me immensely over the years, is to use their advanced search tools. So what you're gonna wanna do is go in the little search bar. There's a little button for advanced search tools, so you're gonna click that, and then you're gonna scroll down a bit, and there will be options that have little check boxes next to them, and you can either choose to see completed listings or sold listings. You can see what people were trying to sell items for, and then if they didn't sell, you'll know that maybe that's not a great price to sell something for. And if they did sell, which it'll show up in green if they did, then you can look at all those different prices and kind of just know what the general market is looking like. And besides those things, there are just a few other factors that are going to go into the price, some of which are subjective and some of which are based on facts. For example, you're going to want to consider the quality of the item, the original price, also the demand of the item, like I've talked about a few times now throughout this video, and also how much you want it gone. If it's something that you're not 100% sure you want to sell but would let it go if the price was right, then list it for what you actually want and what you think it's worth. If it is something that's super rare and it's brand new or something like that, and you, like I said, don't necessarily need it gone, you can try listing it for very similar to the actual price. That's okay. Or even if it's something you do want to get rid of, but you also want what you think is a fair amount of money for it, don't be afraid to list it for the price that you think is fair. Okay, part number 4. How do you even create a listing? The specifics of this are going to vary significantly based on which method you are choosing to go in, but in general, there are a few things that I would recommend following. One, obviously, is the photos. Now, if you were going to go buy something, obviously you would want to see good photos of it. That not only has to do with lighting and quality, but it also has to do with angles, with close-ups. If there is something wrong with the item in the quality, if there's like a little nick or a scratch, I like to take a solo photo of that so people can really see what they're getting. And in general, you're just going to want to take good photos. This does not necessarily mean you have to have a DSLR, but just make sure that they're at least clear. You can do them on your phone, it's totally fine. Second, you're going to want to describe the condition and do it honestly. I promise you that this is super important, and it's going to just be more helpful to everyone in the long run. When it comes to sizing too, just be really honest. If something runs small, big, wide, whatever, if something is a large but fits like a small, like just be really upfront about all those things too. You would much rather be super, super honest than kind of embellish a little bit and lie about it to get it sold. And then when someone sees it in person, it's not the way you described it, and then they get mad, and then you have to deal with the situation. And also, if your item is new with tags, new in the box, there are a bunch of different acronyms that you can use on your listings. Section 5 is shipping items out and getting actually paid once you have sold them. If you are selling them through an app or something like that, my first tip, and this is kind of a given, but obviously, is to just ship out in the most timely manner possible. If you are going on vacation, if something comes up, your printer breaks, whatever, like just be honest about that with someone and just like let them know there might be a delay, and they can decide what to do based on that. And also just try to pack things well. This doesn't necessarily mean that you have to like have, you know, crazy cool packaging. I just think what's really important is to just make sure that it is protected and presented nicely. If you have tissue paper, that's always just nice to put stuff in that, or bubble wrap where it's applicable. And when it comes to getting paid, this looks different on every different thing that you choose. I know Depop and eBay go through PayPal, and that's how you get paid. And then I think Poshmark will do a direct deposit to you. Crossroads sends a check. If you do anything in person, they will give you cash or a check on the spot. All right, well, I think that is all I had for you in this video. I am actually sure I forgot something though. That's all that was in my brain for now. So if I forgot anything and you also do this or you have tips, please feel free to leave them in the comments for everyone, or just feel free to share any of your experiences if you have a favorite site, platform, app that you use. I will also leave a link in the description below to my own Depop and maybe Poshmark accounts so that you can see some examples of listings that I have put up in the past, or in case you want to buy any of the clothes that I have. I feel so weird saying that, but if you're interested, feel free. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you are not already and want to see more videos like this. I post new videos every Friday, and I will see you guys next Friday. Bye!